Okay, I guess this is gonna go for a tripler. But since I don't want to go on forever, this one will be a tiny, I think. I gotta change my timer. Oh, alright. Got a couple of things to wash. So just 1 second. I have lost the clock app somehow. I really don't know. Maybe my phone's glitching out and like I accidentally minimized it. I'm just gonna search it up in the... Yeah, I'm gonna search it in the settings. No, not settings, but like every single, every phone has got that little thing at the bottom that you can search up where all the apps are. There we go.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce.
She's Joyce.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
Yes. Indeed. Oh, yes.
Leighton, my maiden name.
Leighton. RCM, what is that?
I meant you, the Revachol Citizens Militia. The police.
Ah, yeah, what gave us away?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Oh.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here.
Their grip is tight and cold. Much like the, surroundings.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
Splendid.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual.
Extremely.
But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. This is a tactic.
Yes.
It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the lieutenant just wink at you?
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
You're on
Why,
the boat.
yes I am.
Not a lot of people on boats,
Of
are
course
there?
there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
What do you mean archipelago?
I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
Caillou, like the show?
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass, the fourth largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago.
I thought Le Caillou was the one big island.
Okay, if you want to get technical. The point is, we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another, especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike.
Still, I haven't seen anyone sail a boat.
I haven't seen
around
anyone
here.
else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, That motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on
Yes.
this boat because she's rich.
Yes.
Before you do, it would be pertinent to ask other questions. Gather more info on this boat of hers.
Does she have a
The
name?
boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19 because that's the type of sloop it is. It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Of course there are. Yes, we are. We are all...
Technically,
It's not
The
right.
neighboring Oz.
Okay, if you want to get technical.
She nods attentively.
Let's talk about the
Oh my.
economics.
The E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Yes.
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A?
God, this saw. It's pronounced saw.
33A? This old proletarian haunt here? As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata.
Your synapses flesh.
Funny. I don't
You
see any
mean
other
eels'
eels'
hips?
heels around.
But point taken. I am a bourgeois woman, and this is my fast, light, interminably bourgeois boat.
Let's go.
Good.
Oh, wait, yeah, I can. I know.
What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain.
Big money, I suppose.
Saint-Baptiste, Elysium, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you.
How much money?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
Damn.
20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate
Did that
employs
bird just
72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interest payments.
A wave hits the sloop. She grasps the mainstay for
A
balance.
conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility.
Where does Wild Pines get all those
They
billions?
started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago. when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain.
Speaking of, I think the music that's playing is, curiously, the Insulindian Miracle. So, is the miracle in question the company? I'll have to ponder this.
Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
Probably helps to start out with a royal monopoly.
You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed, or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that.
What does such a huge system need with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
You don't keep it moving. The workers!
We built this district.
We. There it is. She owns up to it.
All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions. The plazas, Meteor and Mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to the investments from the WP.
Oh, there must have been the revitalization
Before
project.
Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees. A company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built.
I guess one could argue that it's been so long they're kind of abstracted from that responsibility, but... What about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Elements. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
An octopus! I will slay
Good
it!
luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the
That
coalition
bird
government.
just chat shit again.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
What is your role
I
in this?
believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Thank you.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Tell me more about this behemoth.
What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now.
So the strike is connected to the lynching?
Yes, I believe there is a connection. But that's a subject for later.
How were the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
So, okay, if it's February and it was 3 weeks ago, then middle of February, then it's March? Is it March now? A bit chilly for March, but maybe when you're one of the... I haven't looked at the map this playthrough.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Pretty subtle there, and maybe...
Ludicrous, even. It's meant.
Oh, okay, rhetoric didn't come through with the communism approach, but it is something to point out that they did have two strikes before, and of course that's the point of it, but from what we'll learn later, the the strikes demands are pretty large, but the earlier ones were definitely normal. I mean, overtime pay is normal, and a medical plan is normal. These are normal things. Those are like most normal strikes ever. Curious how they didn't have that in the first place.
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it?
There's a bug in my room. God.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union.
I don't know anything about that.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
I mean, how would they not? I mean, I guess it's pretty self-explanatory, right? They're every worker a member of the board. The board controls the thing. Every worker controls the thing. I mean, perhaps they'd have to make a board to fulfill this promise, but, like, it's not that hard.
Then you might also like their other slogan. Demand democracy.
That's kind of vague.
Personally, I agree. It lacks the pizzazzo of every worker a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision about what? About anything, really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
I mean, being honest, I think we've talked about this, but that is kind of ludicrous. I mean, what about situations in which people cannot vote? I mean, there might be, things for that, but at the same time, it's rough. They have, in a way, made themselves more important compared to everyone else in the company. Sorry, excuse me for that. On the other hand, I mean, it's probably the end goal for the entire company to be made like this, but, as she says, there's 72,000 employees. Anytime the company needs to make any plan, every single employee needs to agree on it. That's not going to work out. I don't know, maybe... I mean, I think that's one of the things we need to figure out, huh?
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Tell me about the union
Everard
boss.
Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick him with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
Oh, heavens no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin.
Treacle? That's a weird variation on the word trickle. Isn't it? Oops, that's Google Docs. Not what I wanted to open. Come on, Google, load. Treacle. Treacle is a thick, dark, uncrystallized syrup that's a byproduct of the sugar refining process. Huh. Wait, that's the AI overview. Okay, yeah, Wikipedia says pretty much the same thing. Good. Good.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over.
Really funny if those guys are the same person.
It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
Well, I haven't actually been over to the Union yet, and... You know, it sounds like this, I wish I could say this literally just... it depends. Because I know he's done some good to the community. I also know he's done some bad to the community, especially with all this corruption. I don't know if the claim about embezzling workers' dues is how accurate that may be. I know he is a kind of a slug. I know that, like, on one hand, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it's either I say a very polarizing thing, or, yeah, I don't actually care. But I'll just go with this.
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Oh no.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Strange.
This forewoman, her name?
I don't think that's a reaction speed thing. Would I not be able to ask this question if reaction speed didn't do that? Because... what?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman. In private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the Union's files.
Eerie.
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help?
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it? Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub. Why, yes, tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, almost rustic in its simplicity, a silk shirt and matching scarf around her gentle throat.
I gotta do it.
While dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible,
Thank you,
within
conceptualization.
reason. Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes. A scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor, poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too.
I'm a working man.
You think your little communism protects you from this feeling? No. The more demeaning it is to grovel at her feet.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
Okay,
That's the man who
Photos.
was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
weird.
This reality.
Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case.
I got so drunk I forgot literally
What?
everything. I went on a 3-day bender. Oh, a supernatural event took place within my head.
Such an
Hello,
acute encephalopathy just doesn't seem possible. Surely you're joking.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then.
Oh,
Ask
wait,
away,
this counts as
officer.
a rich person?
I'll
Okay.
help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Where
We're
are
in
we?
Martinez, baby.
What is
Martinez is a
Martinez?
district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even.
Oh, shit.
Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
I'll finish this discussion up, and then I swear... I mean, I think I already did.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the reeds are the real star of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
What sea
It's
is
not
this?
really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the blue immensities.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
Oh,
It is
okay.
clear this pebble is of enormous value to her, and to humanity at large.
Martinez.
Revachol?
What is Revachol?
Revachol is what you call a city.
What kind of city is
The
Revachol?
great kind. History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least.
Oh, it
Our
is.
centuries.
They just did a ship job at that, huh?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago,
DeLorean. That reminds me of something.
they say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about...
A collection of tall ghosts behind the water vapor, light reflecting off their glass windows.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Madame Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true,
That's
ma'am?
true. I need to...
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
Right.
It's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed.
True.
I'm always at your service. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
What?
Oh, yes! Yes! You know what they say. You know what they say. There's no way I could lose. I always beg for money. I always get lucky. Yes! Help me. I'm poor. I need money to keep on living.
Yes, of course. I'm sad to hear that. How much do you need?
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on?
I would like 1 cent.
That's a
130
good sum.
real.
Not too small, not fantastically large.
This is a zip bag. Yes.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the
Paper's still oily. I just realized Joycekin has like white eyes. It's a bright color, but the reflection almost overtakes the shade of them.
touch. There must be about 200 real in that zip bag, maybe a little less, plus some change at the bottom.
So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
I'm still getting my head around this whole money concept. You were just helping me
You're
out.
right, ma'am, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they are properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries?
Thank you.
Of
That's
course,
all.
Detective.
That's all.
Take care.
Hey, psst.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again.
Ooh, again.
Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet. But neither has love. Should we just stop building love, too?
Yes, we should all stop building love.
This conversation isn't really about love. Try to keep up, okay? This is about the communism you've promised to build. Word on the street is it's going to be 10,000 times larger than any communism previously attempted. Is that true?
Rhetoric, I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pockets, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff.
Rhetoric, yeah, I think I did that.
Funky style. Very funky. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it? Failure. It's about failure. Yes, abject failure. Total, irreversible defeat on all fronts. Absolutely vanquished, beaten, curb-stomped and pissed on. Until you came along. You will reverse the fortune of the workers of the world.
Oh, okay.
You alone, against every living thing, against every human alive. 800 trillion real in the hands of an impossibly well-organized ruling class. Towering city blocks of bankmen who have the ears of prime ministers. Million-headed armies of nations and the love of your own mother.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. But I should probably explain that, like, honestly, when I was going in for like the lowdown, I didn't think it was gonna actually result in a lowdown. But I personally, I thought it was just gonna get me extra points for the volition check by making her concerned for my well-being by acting extra insane. But oh well.
You against the atom, the charm and the spin. Where the whole world failed. Matter failed to bend to human will. Human will failed to get out of bed and tie its laces. You alone, single-handedly, will rebuild the dreams of the working class. You are the last communist.
Frederick, I don't think
now
so.
get to work, comrade.
Oh
yeah.
Okay then.
Get the firing squads and the animal wagons ready.
Hey, wait a
Too
minute.
late to back out now. You can't make an omelette without breaking a few million eggs.
Well, I guess I gotta murder.
Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those times are gone. And so are those people. Why did you come here? Why are you still here? And where's the dealer? You have to get back to work. That's all you have now.
Learning cap for perception raised to 5. Speed gives 1 psi.
Finger pistols, 9mm.
Oh.
Snap, snap, baby. Turns out guns aren't that much for protecting as they are for attacking people. If you want to protect people, really work for them, you have to whip out your signature dual 9mm Villiers finger pistols. Who needs real guns anyway? That conversation you just had? It would have gone better had you snapped those bad boys at him. Note, 9mm dual finger pistols do not count for an actual weapon in a gunfight.
Well, unfortunate. I like reaction speed though. He does things sometimes. And I'll need more thoughts for Mazovian socioeconomic. My visual calculus. I won't need it for like 2 days. People think communism was some crazy idea that had its comeuppance 40 years ago. A fever that shook the world, never to return again. They were right, until he woke up today. A spiritual corpse responsive only to the call of Commodore Red, prostitutes, and crass Mazov. For him, communism is still a thing. He will single-handedly raise the commune of O2 from the oceanic trench where it has been resting, covered in ghosts and seaweed. He is the big communism builder. Come, witness his attempts to rebuild communism in the year 51. And what is this? Jamais vu. Revachol Special Administrative... Revachol Special Administrative... Wait, why is this one... Oh. It goes to negative. But speed gives 1 psi. Well, I guess speed is a drug. Learning cap for perception up to 5. That's good. Reaction speed, epic. Empty hand slots give suggestion. Suggestion is valuable since my purple is in the shitter. Anyway, Jim I do. Derealization. Revachol Special Administrative Region. Le Caillou. The Insulindian Ocean. Coalition Government. Insulindian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Truvant. The Apricot Company. World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners, see if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts. The one you truly must complete. Well... Wait, I have another skill point? I get all these. Who needs skills when you have thoughts? I'll think about everything. Yes. They can't stop me from thinking. But here is where we save the game, and I'm gonna like eat food and stuff. And check it's there. Yeah, right. Okay. Then I'll see you later. Yeah.